after we are done with the webinar. We have also rolled out mentorship program for young mediators. We will make that information also available to all of you soon after this. Now, permit me to then introduce our speaker for the day, Ms. Assunta Ndami. Now, Assunta Ndami, based in Nairobi and Brussels, is an access to justice enthusiast and a dispute resolution practitioner with keen passion and focus for online dispute resolution, otherwise known as ODR. She's dedicated to promoting alternative dispute resolution and online dispute resolution awareness through her network as a founder and team lead of the Dispute Resolution Hub, also known as the DR Hub. The DR Hub offers conflict management services, upskills mediators into digital conflict resolution specialists, and build societal awareness on ADR in Kenya. And of course, just like I said, in a manner consistent with the provisions of Article 159 of the Constitution. Now, having said that, please allow me to invite Ms. Assunta Ndami to pick from here. We will have her make a presentation, after which we will have a round of Q&A. Welcome, Assunta.
Thank you so much, Alphonse. I hope you can hear me and you can see me, as well as for everyone else. If you can hear me, see me, maybe a hand up, a reaction, and I'll know we're good to go. All right, great. Thank you so much for your reactions. Thank you, Alphonse, and I thank you very much to SDRC, that is the Strathmore Dispute Resolution Centre, to have me come in today and basically share a bit of experience, a bit of nuggets that I have gained along the way in terms of branding yourself, in terms of growing your profession. Just a disclaimer, I think I'm coming down with something. And so if you haven't had me say something right or need me to come again, please make sure you write it in the chat and I'll be happy to respond to you. But Alphonse has given a proper introduction, and I know we just have about an hour. So I would jump right into a very brief presentation. Should you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I will be coming back. But I think first we'll do 20 or so minutes of the presentation, and then we'll jump into Q&A. I always dedicate at most time to have a Q&A so that we can be able to just talk through all of these things. I have practiced, maybe that's what wasn't mentioned. I have practiced mediation for just about 10 years. I turned 10 this year in the mediation profession. It's been nothing short of an amazing journey for me. It's had its highs, it's definitely had some lows. And then just a few years after qualifying as a mediator, I started off on my arbitration journey. But my background in training is that I am an advocate, as you have had. So often I say that I practice more mediation and arbitration than I do anything else. And for that reason, I am very happy to be here to share these things that I've picked along the way that can also work for you. So great, right into it. Let me just see if you will be able to see my screen. Alphonse, please confirm you can.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. So what should you expect as I walk you through the next 20 or so minutes? We all know we are here because we're looking to stand out. If self-branding is anything else, it is about how do you make yourself stand out, right? And so we will be discussing how do we establish credibility? Why is this important? And even if it is important, how do you make sure that you do it right? So it's definitely about positioning yourself professionally, complying with ethical frameworks, whichever they are that exist, leveraging your strengths and making strategic decisions or choices to achieve long-term success. Okay, so that's what we can expect. So jumping right into it, you've heard what the Dispute Resolution Hub does. It was founded in 2020, and one reason that I will take a pause to just introduce the hub is because for me, it was an answer to a problem that existed and continues to exist in our ecosystem. All right. 2020 isn't too long ago, so we turn 5. We have diligently worked to ensure that whichever professionals and practitioners are part of us at the DR Hub are individuals who are comfortable to go out and put their skill set forward. So in a sense, this topic of self-branding is very close to my heart because it is what we have consistently done with me and my team over the past 5 years. Now, a highlight of the DR Hub, because our vision is working towards a conflict-competent society. And I think it's a vision that outlives me and it outlives my team, because insofar as they are humans, there will always be conflict. That is a constant. So imagining a society where we all know how to manage our conflict is a very big call. I'm not sure I'll be able to do it in my own lifetime, but I do hope that the individuals I have worked with along the way will continue to make a difference. Now, as you've heard for practitioners, I think keenly in terms of online dispute resolution, it's one of the biggest advantages for members who are within DR Hub, because we upskill you with that particular skill on how to do online dispute resolution. Networking, always important, I think, while we're here, and we'll be discussing a lot about it. But then when we go out to the public, not only do we create awareness and to the organizations as well, but we also offer these services. And we consider not just their relationships, but we consider their pockets. So I often make a joke among my team that it's pocket-friendly conflict competency, okay? And the question to you as the mediators, I know today I will be speaking to most of you, is whatever service you are offering, is it affordable? That's a question only you can answer. But now beyond walking this journey for 5 years, so there's a 5 years where I've been a team lead and a 5 years before that, hence making 10, the things I have picked up along the way about self-branding is that, one, it needs to align to a framework. It needs to be in line with what is within our guidelines and our legislative frameworks. So for those who don't know or know, we do have the legal notice 145 that guides us. We have civil procedure that also guides us. But in terms of branding, what does guide us? That's a good question. So those among us, please have a look at the Code of Ethics when it comes to mediators, especially those within the court annexed mediation. Specifically Part 9 of the Code of Ethics for Mediators, that is a document available to all of us, outlines that when you are advertising or branding or in whatever form promoting yourself, make sure it is within these parameters. Make sure it refrains from guaranteeing settlement or promising specific results. So even as we think today, how can I position myself? Please remember that you have these guidelines, first of all, to guide you. So for CAM and that is Court Annex Mediators, remember that you should refrain from guaranteeing settlement. And I think I will really emphasize this because it will boil down to good practice. If you continue to align yourselves to these guidelines, it means it becomes easier and easier for you to position yourself the right way. If you're giving information about your ethical background or training or experience, as you've had me touch on it, make sure that it is accurate. So if something changes in the span of a year, are you giving accurate information to your clients? You should not be soliciting and you should communicate to everyone and through promotional materials what you can and can't do. And if indeed you have served a client, it is not for you to use your client to brand yourself without their consent. Let me take that again. It is important for you to have the parties that you serve and their consent when you are sharing that you have been successful with their matter. I think I'll reinforce this because over the past 2 or 3 years, I have had the unfortunate circumstance of seeing videos circulating of mediators who had conducted mediation proceedings, and in a video or in a recording are sharing this with other mediators saying, hey, I was successful in this matter. So you can see already in the code of ethics, especially if this is a court annexed setting, you should not be doing that. And if you have been doing that, I hope today we can remind you that, hey, you are extending yourself too far. Now, you shall not be misleading or give misleading advertisements concerning what you can and can't do. And then beyond the code of ethics for mediators, there's also now the 2024 Family Mediation Guidelines. In specific, Principle 10 highlights marketing, promotion, and advertising, right? Marketing, promotion, and advertising. And what stands out for these guidelines, because they should apply to family mediators. So this is the individuals who have specialized, but in essence, it will apply to all of us because most of us will find ourselves practicing family mediation. Now, it emphasizes about some key things that hadn't been put in the code of ethics. It says marketing should have client consent. It goes a bit further beyond what the CAM guidelines gives. It says update your CVs regularly. It's very specific on your resume and CVs. It even goes a bit deeper in saying, if you have any graphic design, if you have any particular photos, make sure that they comply with the laws, and now make sure you are complying with ethical standards. So why I do appreciate the writers of the guidelines is because they envision a time where we will have more ethical standards. And so even in that context, ensure you align yourself accordingly. Now, beyond the family mediation guidelines and what CAM has set out, there are additional institutions that have laid out their own code of conduct and ethics. Why are these important? If you choose to practice within panels, you know you are bound by the code of ethics and conduct of that institution. But for the purposes of this session, it is important to know which institutions do have these guidelines and what they are. Now, we do have the NCIA Code of Conduct, came out in 2021. In specific, advertising and solicitation is what they call it under Principle 8. And not only are we called to a very high standard of truthfulness in our advertising, but it specifically says what mediators should be putting out. And this I had to lift. So whatever I have lifted is right there on the left side of your screen, saying that a mediator should only claim to meet the mediator qualifications of a governmental entity or private organization if that entity or organization has a recognized procedure for qualifying mediators and it grants such a status to that mediator. Okay? This is important because NCIA does stand out. Please mark my words, I'm not saying it is any of these is better than the other. I am just putting it out here that even as you consider how to put yourself, be very aware that every institution does have different standards to comply with. So in this thinking of 2021 and now we're in 2025, we have MAC, we have private practitioners, we have international practitioners as well. So in the thinking of this and in the spirit of what the NCIA was coming to put out, is that you shouldn't be saying you are associated to something that you actually are not. It may seem like common sense. I do remember sometime reading this out and thinking, but isn't this obvious? However, let's remember that mediation is somewhat young in the Kenyan ecosystem. So this is necessary. Now, other organizations that have set some standards for integrity, of course, include the Mediation Training Institute, who had their code of conduct in 2018. And even for us as the Dispute Resolution Hub, we do have our own code of conduct and ethics that includes a pledge by the mediators and arbitrators who then offer their services at the hub. This list is by no way exhaustive, but in my experience, what I have interacted with. Going forward, noting that there's something like the Mediation Trainers Association, I will look forward to a time when trainers who have band together can set out the parameters and exhaustive parameters as to what can and can't be done when it comes to advertising, marketing, solicitation, or whatever other form of promotion we can call it. So if you do know other organizations out there, this is just keeping it very local. For international standards, we do know that the ancestral mediation rules puts out some parameters of what to do and what not to do, equal to the ICC, equal to the LCIA, equal to the AAA, if you are interested in joining those specific bodies. Now, should you want me to exhaustively come back, I just recommend that when we do have the time as mediators, please come back and read this code of conduct and ethics. They'll be very, very useful. Now that the legislation, or sometimes what people say the boring part, is done, let's jump into understanding yourself as a brand. So first things first, branding is a journey, no doubt. Your professional goals and where you aim to be, think of that road that you see on my screen. You may be aspiring to get to the peak of that mountain at the back. But because the landscape looks different, as you can see, it has a winding road. Sometimes you don't go through that road. The landscape might change. So there is no magic pill to self-branding. Let's just start there. It is a journey. So open yourself up to enjoying that journey wherever it may take you. It is also not a one-day event. So I just want to break away the concepts and notions that you will qualify to do something and it will pay off immediately. I'm yet to see someone who qualified and was able to sort of get their first big case in the first week after they had trained. But what do you need to do? First, what do you consider yourself as? So what image do you have of yourself? It is very, very hard to brand yourself something you do not believe of yourself. So what do you consider yourself as? What do you envision yourself to be? When I see myself 10 years from now, or even I see myself next week. Let's not go too far. But what do you need to do along the way to get there? Now let's jump into that one. Step number one, leveraging your skills and your strengths. Whereas skills are undoubted, mostly what we know as skills is rated by what we can see on paper. So do you have a degree? Do you have a master's? Do you have a further diploma course? That's very easy. But your strengths, your weaknesses, your threats, those are more of an inward thing. Yes, sometimes we can see them from the outside, but strengths, sometimes we can't see. Skills, paper-wise, exist. So it is how to balance these two things. So let's start. What's your background? And I'll use myself for an example because, yes, I am here sharing my knowledge and my experiences. My background is that I'm a legal practitioner and advocate. It allows me certain flexibilities to enter into rooms and meetings Now, how I use my legal background to assist me with my mediation career is that every client who walks into my door or through my doorstep, I look at them from a lens of a mediator. So they may have come in because of my skills. They were told this is a very good commercial lawyer. She will handle this particular transaction very well. And you need her to draft ABCD. Now, when they walk through my door, the lens of a mediator not only sees this transaction that I'm looking at, but I look at every other thing that will follow this transaction. Now, identifying my audience goes hand in hand with my background sometimes. Insofar as you practice being, now let's use another example, a teacher, a banker, you have a unique audience as compared to someone who is a lawyer. That is a fact. Now, understanding who you serve, because that is the audience, also means you need to understand your field of operation. So for lawyers, I am a lawyer. Most people walk into my door seeking a transaction, seeking help, and I must help them. Now, I apply myself because converting. Let me take a pause on that one as I hear feedback. All right, are we good to go? Yes, thank you. So I took a pause just because I could hear feedback, and I would suspect that you wouldn't be able to hear me. Now we're good to go. So let's talk about client conversion. The client who came in because of my legal background might not know I am a mediator, but my online presence speaks of mediation or speaks of access to justice. In fact, to date, I do not speak of myself just as a lawyer or just as a mediator, but as an access to justice practitioner, because then I have all the doors, all the multiple doors at my hands. Okay. Now, when you combine your background, your audience, and your presence, you are able to start being known for something specific. Now, let's be very practical. As I said, clients walk through my door. My first set of clients who I converted was because they were seeking a transaction, for me to represent them in a transaction. And in as much as I was going to draft the contract, as they gave me details about the transaction, about the particular deal they wanted to close, I realized there are very many potential areas for dispute. So it was not just about leaving my office with a paper of a contract that has been written. It was about me resolving their future disputes that they either can see and have avoided to see, or they cannot see at all. So as a mediator, you need a very futuristic angle as you place yourself. And so the first thing I told them is, fantastic, this transaction is done. I will be able to draft whatever you need in this set of time frame, but I am actually concerned about beyond this transaction. Have you thought of potential risks in the project? Have you thought of how you're going to handle the other side if they're not ready to conclude this particular transaction? And in the long term, because this project is going, or transaction is going to take anywhere between 6 months to 13 months, how are you going to mitigate all these issues? So right now, as we look at mediation and how it is practiced privately, the reality that someone is going to walk through your door and seek your mediation service is either because they have heard of you somewhere, they have been recommended to you, and that's just about it. Or thirdly, they are curious, okay? So you do need to leverage your strengths and your skills. Now, as soon as I converted this client into a potential mediation client, because then they started realizing, oh, this is what mediation is. This is the fact that it can sort out my other many disputes. They came back and they kept coming back. So the one client who was converted because I thought of them as a human and I could see all the potential risks that they faced, kept coming back. So I think that touches on not just my background, it touches on my audience, and it touches on presence. Now, those were the initial years. As I have worked along the way, I do realize that now online presence allows you to be anywhere in the world. For example, for myself, who is in various places, it allows me that comfort of being in different places at the same time. Now, something, for example, let's take LinkedIn because it is the most professional site, now has offering of services as a button. That didn't exist a few years ago. A few years ago, you'd put out your banner, that big, big banner that you see, you'd put out your photo, and that was just about it. But now it allows you to create an option where someone can reach out for your unlimited services. Does it always pan out into a client? Not always. But is it better to have? Yes, it is. Now, it will be all for nothing if at the end of the day, you are not consistent and you cannot be relied upon. So in as much as we are self-branding, remember this is about you actually just being a solid professional in whatever you do. Now, when a client comes to you, do they know, can they associate or link themselves to your purpose or to your mission or to how you came here or something that is unique about you? People show up for people. So you are a professional, but you are a person, and your potential client will only identify with you as a person. I hope I have been able to just highlight what it means to leverage your strength and your skill. Because we will have sufficient time to just run through strengths and skills, if you want or are curious about how your specific profession works and how you can navigate your strengths and skills, please again put it in the chat, giving an example of what your background is, and I would be happy to give ideas about leveraging your strengths versus your skills. Now, that being said, think of self-branding like an investment. Think of it as an investment. There are risk appetites. If any of you has invested, you know we are classified by our risk appetites vis-a-vis our capacities to carry that weight. Self-branding is an investment because it might pay off now in a month. It might pay off in 5 years. So if you're really not sure how to get into it, look at it as a portfolio, everywhere from the low risk, medium risk to high risk. And so I chose to classify it like this because it is just easier to consume. So the low risk are the easy things to do when you're branding yourself. You can join an association. You can attend local events. You can have a short course. Now, disclaimer, when you join an association or a membership, some of them are free, some of them are paid. So this might not be low risk depending on your capacity. But the reason that an association is definitely low risk is because it requires the least amount of effort. For you to see this event, for example, today, where you're seated at the comfort of your home and you're learning, all you needed to do was press a button, confirm attendance, and today, show up. For those who went an extra mile, perhaps you went forward and looked what does DR Hub do? What does SDRC do? Who are the panelists? What are their backgrounds? You went a step further. But low risk is minimal effort. You just need to show up. Now, for short courses around the world, when it comes to mediation, you can choose that you want to learn a specific skill set when it comes to mediation. Perhaps you want to learn about co-mediation. What is co-mediation? How do I do it? How do I get a co-mediator? A very short course that allows you to boost your knowledge. But the thing about courses is once you have completed the course, the knowledge can't be taken away, but it's an opportunity to shout about an achievement. I know maybe talking about ourselves doesn't come naturally, at least for me, it doesn't. But that is a very, very quick route, not just to empower yourself with knowledge, but also find something that you can comment and share to the world about. Remember, your credibility goes two ways, to your client and to your fellow practitioners. Just this past weekend, I was together with particular mediators as we learned about co-mediation and how to do it. Now, I was very happy to meet people I knew and people I did not know. It was a local event. Now, one person in specific in the group, the first thing we discussed and talked about is, hey, I have seen that you are now qualified in IT, qualified in data privacy, qualified in this and that. So the beauty of doing short courses is that you can tell people about what you're doing. And through that, people know that this is an additional thing. It might seem little, but at the back of the minds of the people you show, it sticks. And that is what they will remember about you. So what do people remember about you? Or did you just disappear into nothingness for a period of time? Now, this is low risk. Remember, low risk, low effort, possibly low cost, possibly. When it comes to medium risks, you're not only able to put down a bit of more money to brand yourself, but you're also ready to put in a bit of more effort. Medium risk, a bit more money, a bit more effort. A personal website, I personally have none. Is it something I may want to do? Yes. Is it something worth doing now for me? No, because remember, everything is about an investment. There is where I see myself on that road. But for you, it would be perhaps a fantastic way, especially if you're looking for private practice. A lot of individuals who are independent practitioners happen to have personal websites, including my own mentor. And I do remember several occasions where I have sat down with my mentor and asked, does this actually pay off? And they're able to show how they have listed their client testimonials. They're able to show their own rate cards. You can still have your own rate card not on your website, but a website is a very quick way for the world to engage with you. And websites don't need a lot. You can either build your own website through several things like Wix. You can build your own website, or if you do have a bit of more money to invest in, you can have someone build the website for you. International events. Remember, we started with local events as low-hanging fruit, low risk. International events will often need you to travel, need you to plan yourself, and are literally not as, I would not like to say cheap, but yes, let me use cheap for now. They are not as cheap compared to local events. Now, many international events, even those that are online, require you to do something extra, to engage in a panel, to openly ask questions. So a bit of more effort. Long-term courses, think specializations. If someone is interested in now creating a niche in environmental law, that would be a fantastic place. Another place in terms of medium risks that might not be here, but closely tied to international events is, can you be associated to a calling or a mission? I'll give an example for those interested in environment. There's the Green Pledge for mediators. And the Green Pledge for mediators internationally states that we are looking out for the environment, and we as mediators, in our commitment to support the environment and to maintain a good atmosphere, we will, one, dedicate almost all our mediations towards online practice. As far as it is possible, we will reduce our carbon footprint by how by taking lesser flights, by thinking about other options that then are pro-environment. So if that is something that sounds interesting to you, the Green Pledge, why not highlight that this is something I am associated to, this is something I believe in, and that is part of self-branding, being known for something. Now, remember, you can't brand yourself if you don't know yourself. So you need to know yourself and then brand yourself. Now, looking at social media content, you might wonder why it wasn't low risk or high risk. Social media opens you up to people, but it takes effort. It takes effort to think through a post. It takes effort to post, and then it takes effort to respond to people when they actually have questions on that post. But at the end of the day, it attracts clients. Yes, it is a nice way to self-brand, to be known for something, but also we need to maximize what most sites now offer us, which is scheduling. So if you're thinking at the back of your mind, wow, this looks like a lot, I am not able to even put 5 minutes aside every day or 10 minutes, start with 15 minutes every day. Between 2016 and 2018, I think I was very dead when it came to social media in all aspects. But then my very dear sister, literal blood sister, is very good at branding, especially online. And she told me, if you can't start with 30 minutes a day, start with 15. So you need a disciplined system where you set an alarm for 15 minutes, get online, find out why am I online? So one, I need to find out the latest events. Great. You go find out the latest events from the institutions that you're following. Secondly, you want to find out about events. You do ADR events, and then you go and find out about the events and whether they are low risk or medium risk, and sign up and register and put it in your calendar. But now when you finally get to posting, you can either post for today or schedule it for tomorrow or schedule it for next week. So when you do have the time, I know individuals who literally create posts for a whole month in 1 or 2 days, and all they do is schedule. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're feeling pressure about social media, about someone you've seen who maybe posts every single day or every other day, and you wonder, wow, how do I do that? They're probably maximizing on the scheduling option within the app itself. Now, when it comes to high risk, what is high risk? Please, please, please do not hire full-time staff who require significant commitment and overhead if you are not ready. Hiring full-time staff can be an extremely high risk, and those who have run businesses will tell you the overheads can quickly consume you, even in mediation. I have not specifically done training, but because I have run several programs within DR Hub, I can tell you that having someone full-time is an absolute blessing, because you have someone to think and to cover things. But if you're just starting out as a mediator and you just want to self-brand, you may choose to seek consultants or interim people who will help you with specific things, as opposed to hiring full-time staff. I do strongly believe that mediation should be offering jobs and opportunities to as many people as it can, but that can only be possible when it is sustainable. So first focus on growing yourself, and then focus on supporting other individuals. When it comes to monthly subscriptions, this can rack up very, very fast. So for example, if you are subscribed to LinkedIn Premium, and then you are subscribed to Zoom Workplace, because you do want to stand out and have these options when you're setting up meetings, and you have many other subscriptions, for example, Canva or MailChimp, which is about lead generation, those costs quickly wrap up. So you would be careful to remember that high risk may mean high reward, but can also be very stressful. If you're not yet at a place where as a mediator, you think you can do it full time, then do not commit to anything full time. In your branding, in your marketing, let it be based on your budgetary allocations. Now, when it comes to the rewards, it's pretty obvious, and I think I have covered on most of it, that if it's low risk, the reward, of course, is networking. You receive updates. You're learning a new skill if it's a short course. When it's a medium risk, it is something that increases your visibility, and clients can come directly to you. So if you are using, for example, the LinkedIn button that says view my services, clients can directly come to you. If you have a website, clients can again come right next to you. If you have and are available on Google My Business, clients can find you almost automatically. Now, high reward, of course, might mean higher client conversion because you're able to chase after your maybe clients faster. You will receive instant updates faster, and you can learn faster. But again, high risk is something you really need to consider about whether you're ready to take it or not. By and large, I think I've tried my best to tell you what can be done, how to view it, but it will be all for nothing if you cannot be consistent, you cannot be reliable, and you cannot position yourself to seek untapped opportunities. In terms of opportunities, I have mentioned environment. I think this one stands out very key. Something you can consider is training organizations on their cost of conflict, because organizations often are now making cuts based on not only the potential of conflict to happen, but the impact of conflict that is already happening. So I do think there's a lot to be done in that field, and it does need a lot more people. I had mentioned considering how to name yourself. So something as simple as, what do people see when they Google your name? If you're reverse Googling, I don't know whether you've heard of reverse Googling. It's where you are able to use specific apps to find people's footprints in reverse. I can't speak too much on the fine print of how thin, legal or illegal it is. But if you reverse Google yourself, what will people find? Will they find you, the teacher, you, the banker, you, the professor, you, the pastor? And can they associate that version of you to mediation? So if anything else, begin to tell your story as you brand yourself. Tell us where you've come from. Tell us the things you're experiencing in the industry. That is low risk and high reward, that people are able to associate themselves to you and your journey. And then you'll begin to see, as you steadily do it, I said it's not instant, it is a journey. As you steadily do it, it will surely pay off. So be consistent, show up, be reliable, you're giving quality services. It's not about saying I can do 50 cases in a year, but do the one, do it excellently, keep proper record of it, and then take your notes from that lesson and share what you learned. And if you don't share it to the world, share it within the circles of mediators that you have. Because until people know you for something, it's highly unlikely that you are going to be able to set yourself apart. So that brings me to the end. I hope I was able to cover the legislative frameworks that support this, and also some nitbits that I have learned along the way. But I'll take a pause and stop sharing just in case there are any questions. Alphonse, over to you, because I see a hand up.
Thank you very much, Assunta. I believe your audience has been able to learn everything and much more about self-branding. So CK Chege has been having his hand up for a long time. I think we can afford CK Chege time to perhaps ask a question.
Sorry, that was an error. No, I'm so sorry.
So I think this is that particular segment that I made a reference to. We are going to have reserved the remaining minutes for anyone who might be having a question to ask a question, any kind of clarification. I believe Assunta will be much more willing to respond to any query or prefer any kind of clarification that may be put to her.
Great. Alphonse, I do see some questions. I really do hope that in the chat, CPM was able to sort out the sound issues. I do see some questions from Anthony, who says, I'm looking at mediation in the project management space. And then Janet is looking at it from an education perspective. Great. So maybe I can start there, Alphonse, as we work through it, right?
Precisely, precisely.
Fantastic. So to start with project management, very great. So I'd ask project management in what? I know project management is very wide. If I will take construction, because that is something that is coming up. If you manage projects from a construction perspective, you do know that we don't only have mediation as an option, but you also have adjudication boards, which are oftenly picked because then contractors are able to come together, put a board together, and those are their go-to people for fast and efficient conflict resolution. So if it is construction, are you in league or do you know people in your field? That's question number one. And do they know you as a mediator? And this will apply to all the sectors. So they might know you that you are employed in place X or you run business X, but do they know that you offer the service of a mediator? That's question number one. Where can you start? Identify all the players within your market. Now let me speak towards all the sectors because I think it can cover all sectors. Whichever sector, identify the players within the market. Second, identify players in the market facing heavy disputes or possibility of disputes. How do you use this? The lawyers in the room, Kenya Law is your friend. Go in, check out if the top 5 companies you know in your market have any existing lawsuits. If they do, it is likely they have many more. So that is your opportunity to approach. So if it is an area, for example, education or project management, you already know what everyone does. You know that they have some issues. The next thing is to position yourself. The next event that you attend for your sector, seek out the individuals who already work in that sector. Openly ask them, I have heard you're struggling with A, B, C, D, or I've done my research. It seems this is your struggle right now. Would you be able to put me into or connect me with someone who I can discuss this further with, because I think I may have a solution or an idea that would sort this out. If they ask you what is the idea, but they do not have the capacity to open the door for you, please don't give them your idea anymore. Just tell them, hey, if you can help me get to that person, or at least tell me who runs that department, it would be useful. Because sharing your idea with people who have no capacity to open a door is really a bit of waste of time. But yours is to identify who you can approach in there with this idea, which you know is mediation, so that they can have a consideration of what it can do. Now, once you get there, you're doing public awareness. It may require several meetings for you to come in and convince them that mediation is good, or you can even offer your services, one pro bono session for 30 minutes or an hour with a particular team in the office to share this information. That is how you get in. So whether it is project management, whether it is the education sector, do you know the top people in that sector, and can you find your way there? Now, Sharing my contact, sure thing. I will hand over to Alphonse to maybe type my contact in the chat. And Birdie, I hope I said it right. I'd be happy to review your post wherever it is going and to support you towards it. Alphonse, I'll leave you with the emailing bit and the phone number. An additional question comes in on whether there are regulations relating to self-branding, and I did share those regulations. In our code of conduct, it is not codified in law being statutory-wise, but it is now codified in the guidelines. At the court annexed level, there's the code of conduct that exists that highlights it as advertising, I think, and promotion. Then we do have now the family mediation guidelines, which in as much was written for family mediation practitioners, it will apply to most of us, where they've gone a step further, and it came out in 2024. Now, beyond that, other institutions, for those looking to be on the NCIA panel, the MTI panel, or even FIDA, those institutions have their own set of rules and ethics. A recording, Tabby, I think I saw a hand up, so definitely it will be shared with you. Great, so big infrastructure projects. Anthony, if you haven't attended ACL, which is the African Construction Law Conference, I would recommend that for big infrastructure projects, you seek out that network of people. So ACL was created with that particular thing in mind, that they focus on growing the construction industry and professionals within that industry. They do lie heavily on arbitration, but they have shown some upskilling courses on mediation and adjudication boards. So Anthony, for big infrastructure, please type quickly, look for ACL, African Construction Law. It is not only a conference that's coming up, but it is also a network. And it offers some courses where you can upskill yourself. And the conferences are always enlightening and interesting to learn. So it is a worthy investment. Now, for someone who does job recruitments, I don't think that one really touches much. Internationally speaking, if you are looking to set yourself apart internationally, I'd say consider a medium risk sort of investment that may be doing a course, or you can consider a low risk of doing a short course. Example, the ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce, offers some short courses for people in dispute resolution. My personal experience and how I got to expand my international network was to do my master's abroad. I did my master's in international business law, a specialization in dispute resolution, both comparatively and internationally. And I did it at the Queen Mary University of Law. It opened up the world to me in a way that changed the past 6 years for me. So that might be something you consider. If that isn't an option, individuals like the ICC, although the international hub sits in Paris, does have national offices or national organizational committees called NOCs. Kenya does have that. So you must have seen the ICC Kenya advertising. So being part of that would also be useful as you get into the international space. Alphonse, over to you.
Thank you, Assunta. I think we are pressed for time, and we may just need to wind up. And of course, all the other questions that you might not have had the opportunity to respond to, I think with your permission, I can then share share your email address so that whoever wishes to reach out to you can do that. Permit me to thank you for taking time to prepare such an insightful presentation. I must say that we have very limited time, and going forward, I will I may want to then negotiate with the administrators of SDRC so that we'll be allocated more time so that we don't cut the presentation midway. So thank you very much, everybody. Just allow me to just share with you a few upcoming events from SDRC. We usually have our monthly webinars, which are free. So for the month of May, we will have a free webinar that is focusing on tribunal secretarial role. And then after that, between 4th and 10th of June, we'll have our quarterly 40-hour mediation training. It is from this training that we churn out our mediators, accredited mediators. That will happen in the month of June. And then in the month of June, again, we'll also have our free webinar focusing on sport dispute resolution. We'll also have our sports dispute resolution training and certification between the 29th of July and 1st of August. It will be a hybrid kind of a training, and we will charge 30,000 shillings. Of course, you can always make inquiries from us. We'll have also Module 2 of our International Commercial Arbitration Training between 4th of August and 7th of August. It's also a hybrid. We will also host our second annual SDRC colloquium, research colloquium, between the 27th of August and 29th of August. And then again, also another 40-hour mediation training. So we look forward to having you on board. And thank you very much for creating time to attend this webinar. Thank you very much, and blessings be upon you all.
Thank you, Alphonse. I've left my details there. And for everyone else, thank you for paying attention. Alphonse, you have a question on notification of monthly webinars, just to handle. For me, I say thank you. Thank you for your attention. And always feel free to reach out. I am happy to help. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. As regards notification for the monthly webinars, we will be sending out our monthly webinar. It's called notification through our posters. Like for this one, we did a poster 1 month in advance. So we'll be doing our monthly posters just to remind and send to different groups. Thank you very much. Thank you.